guys, as part of a new interactive series we are starting at Etiquette by Koyin, we'll be interviewing different guests who are experts in various fields, getting their perspective on different situations and circumstances as it relates to etiquette. Today, my guest is Koyin Cruz, who is the founder of Tresses by Koyin. She's a trichologist, but today we're going to be interviewing her as a recent bride and getting her perspective on dealing with various vendors in the wedding industry space. Hi Koyin, welcome to the EBK set.
Hello Koyin, thank you for having me.
Awesome. It's great to have you here. Let us know, when did you get married?
I got married in May, on
Okay.
the 8th of May, 6th and 8th of May.
Okay, so you're a recent bride by a couple of months.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's just start by having a conversation so that we ease our viewers into it. And the take home from this is that we get experiences that we consider as good customer service versus those that were mediocre versus those that were just bad, and things that future brides should try to avoid. So how did you choose your wedding vendors?
My wedding vendors, interesting. Okay, you know how it is in our society.
Yes.
Your wedding is a family wedding.
Absolutely.
So of course there were aunties and everyone, cousins, with opinions and whatnot. But I think ultimately it was about value for money.
Money,
based
definitely.
on our expectations.
Yes.
So not being too cheap.
Of
But
course.
then also not trying to break the bank and just
Okay.
finding somewhere in the middle of that.
So quality was important to
Quality
you.
was very
Okay.
important.
And what was your general customer service experience? So if you box all your vendors, would you say you had good, excellent, mediocre? What scale of the ladder would you put it?
If I have to box them, I would say it was good.
Okay.
However, there were some things just stood out. Some vendors stood out in terms of bad experience. I would never want to work with them again. But then there were others that were quite good who I'm constantly recommending.
Awesome.
For example, my stylist.
Okay.
She was awesome.
Okay.
She was awesome. I could send her. I don't know if she found this annoying. She says she did not.
Okay.
But I could send her a picture of earrings at 2 a.m. and she would respond and she wouldn't act like she was being disturbed.
Bothered.
Yeah, so that was good.
And essentially, that just shows that she valued you as a client.
She really did, and I think she also loved what she was doing, and
Okay.
she loved her job, so that helped.
Okay. So the love for her craft shone through
Yeah.
in your interaction with her.
Exactly.
Okay, so you mentioned that you had a few not so good experiences. Do you want to talk us through a few of those?
Okay, so I think the first bad experience I had, which just made me take a step back, was we were looking for for what decorator to use, and there was a vendor who so many people had spoken about her business, and I had gone online.
Yeah.
I had seen a lot of things she had done. I said, okay, sure, no problem. So we called. So I don't know anyone who knows her, so
Okay.
I called directly.
Anyone
and
that knows her personally?
that knows her personally. So I sometimes I feel like that can be an issue when you don't know anyone that knows the vendor
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
So we called just as people trying to plan our wedding, and so we fixed a date and a time to meet. The vendor never showed up.
Wow.
We called. on
No
the day.
apology?
No, we called on the day, so
Okay.
it was on a Tuesday at 5 p.m. I remember because I had to leave work
Okay.
to get home for the meeting. They said they would come to the house. It was a man who picked up the phone.
Okay.
And so we called at about 5:30 saying, hey, we're waiting, what's going on? And the person who picked up just cut the phone and turned the phone off.
Okay.
And that was the end of that.
Okay.
Um,
So did you go ahead to engage this person or use her services? No. Okay.
Definitely
So
not.
that initial turn off was the end of
No, that was
your
the end.
interaction.
That was the end of that. So whenever there was even a slight bit of inconsistency,
Yes.
that was just
That
a
was it
major
for
turn
you.
off. Another one was a dressmaker.
Okay.
She was supposed to make my mom's dress. And we got there, we had about 1 hour conversation, so we really got to know one another.
Of course.
And my mom said, oh, she would just want something just made for her with Ankara or so, just to make sure that it's not the first time they're making something for her.
Yes, she
and they
understands your mom's
understand my
body,
mom's
silhouette.
body and her fit and whatnot.
Yes.
So my mom sent the Ankara till today.
You're still waiting for the Ankara.
We're still waiting for the
Interesting,
Ankara.
interesting.
So yeah, those were some of the experiences, the bad experiences.
The bad
that we had,
experiences.
yeah.
Okay. So what would you say was the most ridiculous service that you received? Would you say it was the dressmaker, or would you say it was the decorator?
The most, I think it was the dressmaker.
The dressmaker.
Because the decorator just did not show up. Okay,
Okay.
fine. But the dressmaker, we spent time with you.
Okay, absolutely. So you have my fabric, you should deliver. Absolutely.
And that never happened till today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, feeding off your bad experience from the decorator, if you were to give advice to that vendor, whether they like to hear it or not, what would you say to them, in your opinion, that how they could have handled the situation a bit better?
So I feel like one of maybe the reason why they may not have taken the phone call seriously was maybe they just did not know where it was coming from and how serious the vendor was, and but then you don't know who you're speaking to.
Absolutely.
So they could have asked more questions.
Yes.
If they were unsure.
Yes.
Rather than just being unsure in their little corner.
Absolutely.
If you want to know more, you ask. And I think as the client, I think we would have been happy to explain who we were and what we wanted, and to just show them that we were not trying to waste their time. But then what happened was they ended up wasting
your
time, which I don't think was fair.
Okay. And that brings me to my next question. Now, in our society, you made reference to someone knowing a vendor, making a referral, and that's dependent on the kind of customer service that they give you. Meanwhile, abroad, for instance, you pick up the phone, you go through the yellow pages, you call, and the customer service is consistent whether the vendor knows you or not. How do you think, the narrative needs to change in our society, particularly regarding that?
With vendors and clients, the relationship between vendors and clients, I understand that there would be some skepticism from the vendor and from the client, because you don't know one another.
True.
However, you're running a business and you want to be consistent.
Definitely.
With your service, so it does not really matter. I think vendors should have some sort of, even if it's a filtering structure, even if you feel that you don't necessarily want to work with all clients, because I guess you have your demographic, you have the people you want to work with, and that's fine.
Yes.
But you should have a way of letting people who want to use you should let them off easy with good manners.
Definitely.
Just make sure your manners are intact while
Definitely.
you're at it. Don't offend the customers, because you know how it is.
Yes, word gets round. Word definitely gets round. So what we're saying here is that customer service should be consistent, whether you know the client, whether they're a repeat client, or whether they're a first-time client. Now, I'm going to ask you a bit of a personal question. So do you think that your planner gravitated towards your personality, or do you think you would have gone with a planner that had a similar personality or understood your personality? So there's some planners that are a bit more outgoing, and there's some that are just very introverted, get the work done as a project, and that's it. They don't really get involved in the personal intricacies. They don't come to your house. It's strictly business for them. What would you say your experience was? And maybe you might have some advice for future brides.
I think it really depends on your personality.
Definitely.
And how much of your wedding planning you can relinquish to your planner, and how much of it you want to take on. But I think you should be clear. Okay. Because one of the things I've come to understand that messes your wedding day up is people just not knowing what their function is. So if you have a coordinator, you need to understand that she's not your planner.
This is true.
If you have a decorator, you need to realize that she's not your. If you have a stylist, you need to realize that she's not you. You just need to understand what everyone's role is.
Yes.
And then read it.
So guys, you have that there. Clarity is very important. Separate the roles and let each person know their roles, their different roles from the onset. So let's move a bit further. What do you think the most memorable thing was that one of your vendors did for you? So where would you say that you had the best bout of exceptional customer service?
Exceptional customer service. My bridal stylist.
Awesome.
Exceptional customer service.
So she gets a thumbs up.
She gets a thumbs up. She gets a thumbs up. My decorator.
Okay.
Because planner for the white wedding. Planner decorator for the white wedding. We had a planner decorator for the white wedding. It was for the traditional wedding that we planned on our own. Okay. interesting story. So we had plan A, which was sea view um, at a space somewhere in VI.
Okay.
And then a couple of days to the wedding, we realized that the roof, which they had promised contractually would be fit
Okay.
for the wedding,
Okay.
was not done.
Okay.
They
So that
were-
was a letdown on
So
its
that
own.
was a letdown.
Okay.
So of course, spoke to my planner, said, this thing is. She called and she was like, you know what, this is not going to happen. It's
Okay.
not. What are we going to do? We said, okay, what we can do is we can get it. She said, I can get a marquee.
Okay.
We can put it on the beach, so we're still sea view. We can still look at the sea, and let's do that.
Okay.
So we thought, okay, last minute, but you know what, the wedding has to happen, so let's get the marquee.
Of course.
Let's put it on the beach. We get the marquee. She's there all overnight. She's there overnight. She does not go home. She's there overnight. She's putting everything together, and then at about 9 a.m. the morning of the wedding, I'm getting my makeup done. She calls me and she says it's raining. I said, I know. She said, so the marquee is soaked. The AC's,
Wow.
everything.
So your plan A didn't work. Your plan B
B
didn't
work.
work. What happened next?
She said, but don't worry, we found an alternative. There's a venue. When you get to your wedding, your reception, everything will be fine. I got to my wedding reception and everything was fine. It wasn't quite the decor we had discussed, but it made no matter. She had delivered. She delivered. It was good. It was good.
So essentially, your decorator came through for you.
Yeah, she did.
It's safe to say that she went over
She
and
did.
beyond
She
for
did.
your needs.
She did.
Okay.
She did.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Whoever you are, decorator, thank you so much. And I'm sure that you will recommend her to
Definitely.
future brides. Okay. And then lastly, I want to find out from you if you have any advice to future brides as it relates to them dealing with the wedding vendors. I know that you're a sucker for quality. I know that you're a sucker for exceptional customer service. Perhaps there are people who don't care so much. But for a future bride who's trying to get value for money, what advice would you have for her, or what things should she look out for when she's dealing with her wedding vendors?
I think first things first, to go with your gut. Because when you're planning your wedding, everyone will have some sort of advice for you.
Absolutely.
But I think if you meet with your vendor and you vibe. If you don't vibe, don't force it.
Okay.
Just let go of that vendor and find another one. That
Okay.
should be your last alternative. I would say that as a bride, if you're giving your money to anyone, if you're paying for a service, you want to ensure that you get best quality out of that provider. So you need to discuss the things that are very important to you. Need to be stated. It needs to be known. So you need to tell your service provider, this is what's important to me. This other thing, you know what, I trust you in. And by